Here's an idea. Maybe there's a positive side to trolls on the internet. Or not. So this episode is going to be a little bit different than normal. I got most of the way through writing it before realizing that I didn't agree at all with what I was saying. But instead of scrapping it, we decided to shoot it anyway, and then at the end we're going to talk about how and why I changed my mind. So in classic Star Trek color coding, red shirt me will get himself into some trouble, and blue shirt me will hopefully clean up his mess. So, here we go. Trolls. Everyone's favorite member of the online discursive food chain. Depending upon who you ask, a troll could be many different things. Very generally speaking, they are people who endeavor to interfere, to disrupt, to anger. Trolling High Priest Weave has described trolling as a form of combative rhetoric. Trolls are drawn to comment threads, Twitter, Facebook, IRC, basically anywhere where people talk online or are. They might say purposefully offensive things, argue for the sake of arguing, or just refuse to stay on topic. And the more time you spend responding to or trying to reason with them, the more successful they are. It's kind of like the game. To play at all is to lose. Oh, and by the way, the game. Sorry. To lots of people, trolls are simply a nuisance, but at their worst, they can do considerable emotional damage, especially when the targets are unfamiliar with ye old adage, don't feed the trolls. So that adage is the very shaky foundation upon which this episode is built. We'll talk more about what that means in a few minutes. All of this does raise an important question, which is why would a troll choose to spend their free time being a jerk to strangers? Well, there are lots of reasons. Some trolls would say that it's simply fun. Some would say there's a certain justice to it, keeping the ignorant or gullible busy and therefore out of other people's business. And along that same line, others still might say that they, the trolls themselves, are providing a service to the very people they are trolling. Nope, don't agree with that. So let's, for a moment, and if we can stomach it, but I think we can because we're all professionals, step into the shoes of a troll. Recently, we talked about the filter bubble. It's a technologically determined effect that isolates you from views that challenge your own. Chances are, though, that you consciously isolate yourself more than the internet cuts you off. Most of us don't purposefully interact with people that we vehemently disagree with. So that means that your positions and ideas are constantly reaffirmed by the people around you. This is called the echo chamber effect, which incidentally is exactly what this episode suffers from, at least partially. It's written based on experiences that are very easy to nod assuredly at if you're someone like me. Again, more about that in just a minute. But then along comes a troll who is more than happy to let everyone know how wrong they are. And let's say, for argument's sake, that you don't heed the golden rule and you feed them a big old argumentative dinner. Maybe in said argument, it's helpful to have a devil's advocate testing you. Whatever your point of view, perhaps you could benefit from being subjected to troll logic. In the process, while maybe getting worked up, is it not possible that your argument is also improving? And really, why get so worked up in the first place? Arguing with a troll is like shouting at the ocean if the ocean were racist. Which actually, let's make one distinction clear. I'm drawing a line between trolls who troll and trolls who harass. Yes, the line is fine, and in some cases semantic, but it might also be the one between trolls and bullies. There is a difference, I think, between someone celebrating the judicious application of frustrating rhetorical techniques and someone attempting to ruin a life. So, but really, in the process of getting all worked up over what some stranger on the internet says, you might have a kind of epiphany. Why am I engaging with this person? Why am I taking this so seriously? Okay, so it was after writing that line about why you would take strangers on the internet so seriously that I had a moment of crushing doubt, followed by crushing self-awareness, followed by crushing my own head between my hands. So let's talk for a second about what I thought I was saying, what I ended up saying, and why those things aren't compatible or good. So in order to make the original claim that there is a good side to trolling, I had to make two additional claims. First, to avail yourself of that good, you need to make a conscious decision to feed the trolls. And second, that there is an important and clear difference between trolls who want to waste people's time and trolls who want to harass or threaten. Now, if those things are the case, then we're all good. Except, while I might have the luxury of choosing to not feed the trolls, for other people it's not so straightforward. For some people, simply having a presence online is treated as grounds for harassment. Amanda Hess, Jill Filipovic, and Emily Grasslie have all recently spoken about how simply doing their job invites all manner of torment. Links in the doobly-doo. Depending upon the context, Don't Feed the Trolls puts the responsibility on the person being trolled, and not the environment hosting the trolling. It says, oh, those people who are threatening to kill you hundreds of times a day, just just ignore them, which after a point might not only become impossible, but also foolish. It doesn't ask how and why such extreme behavior exists and how it might be otherwise disincentivized. But okay, what if it is just someone arguing and saying flame-baity things? Aren't people allowed to have an opinion? Sure, and we can even agree that there is a line between even the harshest criticism and threats of physical violence against someone and their entire family. But, and here's the thing that really dawned on me, if you suffer day after day through instance after instance of the worst kind of trolling, is it not possible that the other kind, the argumentative, negative for negativity's sake kind, might always become the threatening kind, or serve as a reminder of it, or at the very least create an environment where it feels inevitable? I don't know. I'm actually asking. Now, maybe you'll say, well, that's the price you pay for making things on the internet. And to that, I say, nope. Making things does not mean that you sign up to be harassed. Criticized, sure, but not harassed. It might happen, you might even expect it, but I don't think one excuses the other. And telling someone of a certain cultural milieu that if they don't like it, they just shouldn't use the internet is kind of like telling them that they shouldn't participate in society. Footnote, Moxie Marlinspike speaking at Defcon, doobly doo. This is why I'm uncomfortable talking about the benefits of trolling. In a vacuum, the existence of argumentative rhetorical sparring is ultimately harmless and yes, maybe even good to have around. But no culture exists in a vacuum. In a recent and awesome TEDx talk, Dr. Whitney Phillips talks about trolling, some of its context, and why it doesn't deserve to be ignored or unilaterally condemned. And for the record, I agree, I don't think it should. I do, however, think that my reasoning on the road to the good side of trolling lacked accurate context, and as a result was flawed at best and dangerous at worst. In our last episode, we talked about how privacy is different things for different people, and at least in one corner of the internet, that might not be more true than when comparing people like me and any infrastructurally oppressed group. However, for those groups, their differing privacy is not always a choice. Though men, women, straight, queer, trans, and cis all live in the same public, our experiences of it are vastly different. The degree to which members of certain communities deal with intense and vicious trolling indicates that simply because of who they are seen as deserving of less privacy. Not long ago on Twitter, Charlotte Ashlock asked me whether or not there was something about the internet that worried me, and I think this whole arrangement of things might be it. What do you guys think? Are there two different kinds of trolling? And if so, does the line between them dissolve depending upon who you are? Let us know in the comments. And because we thought it might be a little strange to go from what we think of as a very serious discussion to funny comments from last week, we're gonna leave off comment responses this week. So next week, we'll do responses to this video and last week's video about surveillance and reality TV. But we are gonna do this. The first step in repopulating the record wall is to give two records a little bit more visibility than they've already had. Eventually we'll replace the Beach Boys and Marshall Tucker Band, but welcome Miles and Coltrane, Django Reinhardt.